Hello, you are watching The Rebel Nutritionist with me, Meryl Brandwine, and I'm the owner of the Brandwine Institute for Nutrition and Wellness, a holistic wellness center located in South Florida. I help my clients ditch diet fads and uncover the real truth about how food can truly heal your life. I know that together we can help you feel great. I'm excited to show you the way to long-term healthy living. So let's dive in and get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am your host, Meryl Brandwine, and I am a registered dietitian, nutrition and genomic expert, and I believe strongly that food can be the medicine that restores our body. On today's episode, I am so excited to welcome former NFL running back Terry and Miami Dolphin Terry Kirby. And so we're really, really thrilled to have him. Terry is the owner of Ultimate Sports Institute in Weston, where he works with adults and teens to help them reach their fitness goals. And I wanted to have Terry join us today to talk about the topic of proper nutrition and fitness for teens. And Terry and I go back many years at this point. I think, I don't know, I want to say something like 15 years, but, so.
It's close to that, yeah.
Right? Welcome, Terry.
Yeah.
It's really, really good to have you. So before I dive into the topic of teens, I want to talk a little bit about your personal journey. You currently own a sports performance gym. You're a trainer. You're involved in different philanthropic activities. So tell me a little bit about your story, how you got here, and really what uncovered your current purpose.
For me, I guess at a young age, I was always a hard worker. And growing up in Virginia, I had two older brothers and an older sister. And my older brothers were very athletic. They were very just amazing, actually. So I always looked up to them. So it was kind of an easy road for me. And then with my oldest brother he played 8 years in Major League Baseball, and he's actually continuing coaching. He's still coaching now to this day. So he's been in the major leagues for over 20 years with playing and coaching. And to have that as a brother to look up to has been great for me. As far as my journey, as far as training and stuff, that's just one of the things I love to do. I love kids. When I first retired, like you said, I actually opened a charter school for at-risk kids because I love kids so much. And I wanted to be able to have help them and have them and give them a place where they knew they felt safe at. And me being a professional athlete, I think that is a platform that was great for that situation. And since then, I've been just always helping kids.
That's fabulous. Fabulous. So, can you talk a little bit? So I know you mentioned a little bit, but are there other reasons why that is, why these at-risk teens are so important to you?
I think because sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. And I think for me, I was able to have a lot of coaches growing up. I was able to have some really good teachers. I was able to have that father influence. And both my parents were still alive at the time. My father has passed since, but they were there for me. And I think some of these kids don't have that father figure or that mother figure in their life. So it becomes very hard for them. And for me to be able to do that I had 120 kids in my school, to be able to be a father figure for those kids, I thought it was my purpose. It was completely my purpose in life. And even to this day, I still get a lot of kids that call me, and I'm open. I'm an open book. For me, if I can help you, I'm going to help you in any kind of way I can, because that's what I was taught, and that's what made me be able to be who I am today, because someone helped me.
That's awesome. So I know you also have an overnight camp called Aquila. It's in Maine. Is that correct?
Yeah. I actually worked at that one. It was a friend of mine, Efren. So it was an overnight camp in Maine, which was absolutely beautiful. I'd never been to overweight sleep camps. I never knew anything about it. And, all my friends here that live in Weston, they would send their kids away for the summer and they would go. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know if I could ever do that. And then when I went, I was amazed at how, they meet friends for life.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you're not only playing, you're interacting with so many kids from so many different backgrounds and so many different places that you actually get to see what the other side of the world lives like. And it's kind of weird when I moved here to Florida, and I always thought about all the kids that I trained, that sometimes they don't get to see a whole nother side besides Weston or Fort Lauderdale. I think they need to see another part of life and really see that, you know, it's a different side of life. You know, sometimes I think kids live in a bubble. You know, they live in a bubble, and when you live in a bubble and you get outside of the bubble, you become uncomfortable. Yeah. And when you're uncomfortable, things happen.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that I got out of when I went to Aquila and I did that camp, you know, for the 2 years I did it. It was absolutely amazing.
Nice. Great. So thank you for sharing that. Always love hearing the backstory. I don't think I've ever known all that about you. All right, so let's switch gears for a second. So obviously we know, well, I'm assuming, right, you work with teens in your gym, and we know some have the hopes of going on to play college sports or professional sports. So what is the biggest thing they come to you for help with and so forth?
Well, the biggest thing is I don't necessarily train athletes that want to go on to the pro level. Now, I've trained a lot of pro guys, but I train more of a kid that wants to get better and that kid that needs that little bit of an edge. And for me, that's the kid that I like. You know, I love that kid because, you know, he wants to work and he wants to get better. Yeah, he wants to be a professional athlete, but he may not have the ability to do that. But if a kid works hard and works hard enough and they learn the game and they listen, you know, anything can happen. And those are the kids that I love working with. I love working with those kind of kids because, you know, one thing I learned over my 10-year NFL career and all my years of playing football, which I've been playing now, I played for, 25 years of my life. I played, you know, football and then it's taken away. But you learn that not all the best players make it. You know, I've been on teams where I was like, wow, I don't even know how this guy actually made this team. And you're sitting there like, you know what? It's just hard work and being at the right place at the right time and being smart. You know, being smart and learning the game and mastering your craft is more important than sometimes than ability.
Right. I think that's true in life, period, right? Not even in
100%. And that's the thing that people forget. You know, everyone looks at the football and they see on Sunday, they're like, oh my God, all these guys are the best players on their team. No, they weren't. You know, it's just being in the right place at the right time and working hard. You know, no one can outwork you. If they outwork you, then it's your fault. Now, if they have more ability and they're faster than you, then you know what? That's just God-given talent. There's nothing you can do about that. But the working hard part is something that you can definitely have.
Yeah, and instilling that into the kids just to, you know, a little bit more of an umph is always a good thing. So were you focused on, I mean, I know, you know, nutrition and fitness always go hand in hand and we've had conversations about this, but was healthy eating and nutrition part of your, you know, youth?
Well, it was crazy. No, it wasn't. You know, we would eat what was there because I mean I grew up very poor, so we ate what we had. And when I got to college, you know, everything kind of changed. And you know, you had the food available, so you were eating a lot better than I did as a kid. And then when I got to the pros, I really didn't understand it until I got to the pros on how, you know, one of the guys came to me, he goes, listen, you know, right now your body is your temple. This is how you make your money. Your body needs to be in tip-top shape at all times. So you have to learn to take care of your body. And if you don't take care of your body, it will break down on you. And now if it breaks down you and you're playing the game, you have no more money coming in. Your career can be done. So I started learning that at a very, like my second year, I was very lucky to be blessed to have, you know, a great athletic trainer and a great strength coach that I had in Coach Gamble. And he taught me that. And you really didn't understand it until you started getting injured and trying to come back, and, you know, your body weight and your body fat and everything that you had to look at to be at an optimal, you know, optimal peak performance, which you had to do. And that's when I learned more about, you know, your body. And everybody's body's different.
Right.
And you may digest something different than I do and this and that. But you know what? Once you find that and you learn and study your body, then you're able to do that.
So I love all that. And what do you see as the importance as far as nutrition and performance or even injury prevention in the people and the, you know, and the youth and the teens that you're working with and training?
I think the biggest thing is, you know, it's kids nowadays eat for convenience. and parents feed their kids for convenience. And I think that's the biggest downfall that we have, and it's sometimes, the family is they're always on the go, dropping the kid off, dropping here, dropping this, dropping here. And whatever's on the way is usually what they stop. I've learned even now, trying to be able to keep my weight, keep myself healthy now after football because of all my injuries. I've learned to, meal prep, and it's not that hard. The hardest part about meal prepping is doing it. Once you do it, you're set for 3 to 4 days. But that day that you have to do it, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but in the long run, it's so worth it. And for me, I have long days now, so I'm at the gym a long time. So I need to be able to have that fuel for me. And it's just like a car. I mean, if you don't feel it, you know what happens. It breaks down.
I say that. Yeah, I say that analogy all the time. I was talking to a young girl yesterday. Actually, she was 8 years old, and we were talking. She was talking about how she loves her gummies and this and that, and play sports. And so I said to her, "Do you understand why it's important to eat food that is like fruits and vegetables and things that are gonna help nourish your body?" And it's a little bit of a foreign concept when you talk about nourishment. But I said to her, what happens if you put water into a car that needs gas? And she said, well, it's going to break down. And I said, well, that's what happens with your body if you keep feeding it all that sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. Not even that. Most kids relate to like fast cars, Lamborghinis and Porsches and all that. So listen, your body is a Lamborghini. Exactly. If you put bad fuel in it, instead of 93, you put 87 in it, it's not going to work very well. So, it's about a longevity thing, and that's what you have to, it's tough with kids because they don't get that concept. Very tough.
They don't. Yeah, it is. And because they don't feel it, right? And so it is, and I think it is harder, especially now, right? With COVID, people are not outside as much, that we're not moving, we're eating more than ever. And it's definitely tough. So, how do you, one of the challenges is dealing with the parents and getting them to probably, not stop at the fast food. Here they are stopping at fast food and they're going to train with you. It's sort of like a little bit.
Absolutely. It's very hard because parents sometimes want it easy. And, when you see the kid comes in and he's heavy and it's like, wait a minute. The kid is not the one going to the grocery store. You are, so if you're going to the grocery store, if you're buying it, then you're part of the problem. I think you have to realize that, that's what they want. That's what they want. Sometimes you have to change that. And that's very hard. And sometimes parents don't want to do that because they know it's a fight that they don't want to have. They don't want to have that fight with their kid. It's one of those, let me sugarcoat it and get this. I won't get as much, but I'll get this. But eventually it just keeps adding up. Yeah.
So I have a question. I know I know what the answer is in my practice, but you've been doing this a long time as well. Are you seeing a difference in, kids coming in heavier than they ever were before, more, less fit? I mean, not that, kids need to come in tip-top shape, but the trend, have you noticed more of that as?
Absolutely. And that becomes the problem with that is kids, they're in the house more than we are. And that's nobody's fault. We're just more protective parents than our parents were of us because of social media. We were outside until when the lights came on, the street lights came on, you had to come in. Nowadays, as a parent, you're like, do I really want to do that? Because you've seen so many bad things happen. So it's kind of our fault, but it's not our fault because we want our kids to still be outside, but we're afraid for them.
Right.
And now the way video games are, I was never a video game guy. I was never a computer guy. I was always outside doing something. And it's very tough. And I have a 15-year-old son, and it drives me crazy, that they can sit in front of a TV on a computer for 6 to 7 hours and not even think about food. It's the hardest thing to understand. You can sit there for 8 hours and play a video game and not think about being hungry. So in their mind, or the vice versa, it's crazy to me that that's what happens. So yeah, we get a lot of kids that are, heavy, and a lot of kid that ends up with bad posture.
Right.
Bad posture and short arms because they're always in, in this video game mode or the computer mode. So their arms are shorter. So for them to really straighten their arms out, they can't. It hurts because they've been in that position for so long. And, they're not active. They're just not active at all. So, with my son, he gets a limit. How many hours you ever want to play on a video game? You got to go outside and play basketball and run around. You got to go outside and play basketball for the same amount of time.
Right.
So, I think there's a give and take thing that you have to do, and they have to accept that.
Agreed. Right. It's about finding balance. I mean, that's what we talk about all the time. And like you said, one of the things you said that I kind of want to go back to when you said being prepared, right? Or meal planning. And so people say it's hard work. I feel like we put hard work into so many other things in our lives and our
Absolutely.
kids. And yet the work where we really need with the nutrition and the meal, you want to be a great sports player. You want to be successful at, if you're exercising and you want to see changes with, whether you're lifting and you want to, build muscle, you want to lean out, that's work, right? You have to put work and effort into it. And the other side, we always talk about, yes, you have to exercise, you have to move, you need to move your body. But the big part of the equation is also what you're putting in your mouth and paying attention to that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll work hard at the easiest things, but the hardest things you won't work hard at.
Always, right? It's just,
always. Yeah. It's just who we are as human beings.
Yeah, right. Well, we always, look, it's easy to do the quick fix. We want that quick diet. We want that we're emotional creatures. We want that quick result. And I think it's hard to teach the kids that, you're in it for the long haul, and we need to just do the slow and steady, not this quick fix. So on the tails of that, talk to me about, I'm sure we get, I know we all get questions, and those of us in the industry, about supplementation and things like that. How do you talk to your athletes about nutritional supplementation? Because there's so much on the market.
Well, I'm not a really big supplement guy. When I played, at the most, I'd have a protein shake here and there. Other than that, I wasn't a supplement guy. I was one of those guys that I ate, and that's where I got my fuel from. Because most of the time when you're getting so many supplements, and listen, they're all made in the same lab most of the time, and they're just rebranding it however. So, and half the time you don't even know what's in it. So for me, I just never was one of those guys. And I never drank Gatorade because Gatorade for me had too much sugar, so my body reacted differently to it. So on the sideline for me, I had Pedialyte and pineapple juice. So that's what I drank my whole entire career. So, and I think everybody's body's different. Like I said, some people can take that stuff and not have a problem with it. So the way I look at that is, if you eat a balanced diet and you get the vegetables in, and if you're trying to put on muscle and you're trying to put on, size, you double your protein up, you make sure you get your vegetables, make sure you get your fiber. To me, it's a simple equation. It's a very simple equation, and it's just calories in, calories out. You want more weight, more muscle, more calories. It's that simple.
Right. We want them to
make it hard.
What?
Yeah. We make it hard.
Yeah. Well,
we make it very hard.
Absolutely. And I think the media, where we, especially young minds, right, fall prey to those ads and the marketing and they think, oh, well, I'm just going to go have this drink or that or the other. And like you said, that's no substitute for the vegetables or whatever, but they feel, oh, well, I don't need that stuff if I can go take a drink of this, muscle gainer or whatever. I mean,
Well, that's why it's $1 billion business.
Right. They're doing something right that we're not, maybe. I don't know.
It's all marketing.
Exactly.
The budget that they have for marketing, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just the world that we live in now.
It is.
It is. And that there's nothing you can do about that. Social media has been our downfall, but it's also been a blessing.
Right.
We're able to do something like this because of social media, which is a blessing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, right. It's that double-edged sword, and it's how do you, take that information and use it, and how do you share it with people in a responsible way? I think that's the hardest part is being able to balance that, because it's just they're inundated with misinformation, and that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I mean, and they think it's coming from someone that knows what they're doing, and they're like, oh yeah, I've done this study. Okay, I get it. But then you know what? You can Google it and there's something on the other side.
Exactly.
So the way I listen and I tell people in life, and even more so nowadays, I think one of the biggest things people need to do is, instead of opening your mouth, open your ears.
Yes.
Listen first, understand what the person is saying, then answer. Don't just be so quick to open your mouth before listening.
Right.
And I think that's where, the world right now is in a bad place, and, people aren't listening. And that's the hardest thing right now.
Yeah.
And it's with not in all aspects of life right now. Everyone's just quick to talk instead of listen.
Yeah. So on that, talk, and especially now, and I look, I see it again with the kids that we've got coming in, but, let's talk a little bit about emotional wellness, right? How it relates to a healthy body and healthy living. Because I'm sure that's something that you probably cover with the people, the teens you're working with.
For me, it was, in my personal experience, it was very hard. I had been, I was 32 when I was done playing football. I'm retired. I'm never, ever going to be able to play a game that I played since I was 7 years old. At 32, you're done. You're like, what do you mean I'm done? What do you mean? Why can't I continue to play? Well, you're too old now, so your body's beat up. You broke your leg, this and that. You just can't do it. So in your mind, you're like, what do I do? And I went through probably 4 or 5 years of, depression. I was just getting up, working out, coming home, eat something, sleep, get up, work out, eat something, sleep. And, my body, my injuries started hurting more. I felt, it was tough getting up. I wasn't recovering the same way. It wasn't that I was still trying to play. I was just trying to work out and be healthy. But because I wasn't eating right and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, my body started, inflammation started happening. I've got I had a torn ACL, I have a tib fib, I have, steel rod in my leg, I have turf toe. I mean, I can go down the list, and when my body has the inflammation from not eating well, it hurts. It really does hurt. And I felt that was one of the things I needed to get a balance on. I needed to figure out what I really needed to do to stop my body from hurting, and being 50, now I see my friends that are same age as me, and they're barely walking. And I've had some friends pass away from heart attacks, in their 40s that I played with. And it's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing. And I think most people are very selfish when it comes down to this. They don't think about the people around them. I think they just think about themselves and they forget about the people around them as far as being able to take care of their own body. I think you have to, think about that. You got to think about everyone around you and how that affects them. Not only you, but also affects them. Because I know those years I was depressed, I probably was a complete asshole. There's no question. And I'm a nice guy, but I'm sure I was very, kind of quick and stuff. And you learn to deal with it, and you kind of shut people out, and you become like this little loner. And that's not who I was. And eventually, that's one of the reasons why I started the school, because the school was a way for me to get out and express that and help the kids. And that was the reason why I started the school.
Well, and you can help them through your experience, right? So how do you recognize and understand? I mean, I think that's a big piece of this, is understanding that your emotional wellness is tied into the physical. I always say what goes on in our brain is manifested in our bodies. And
absolutely,
so,
absolutely. And with life, it's about experiences. If you've never been down, you don't know how to get up. If you've been up your whole life, you and something happens, you can be devastated. You know, and a lot of the athletes have that problem when they're done because they've been so high up here, and all of a sudden now you're not that football player anymore. You're just a regular whatever. And you've been that football player for 28 years or how many ever years, and now you're not that person. You know, what do you do? You know, one of the things I always tell when I do interviews is, you know, football is what I did, it's not who I am.
Right.
So, you know, that's the way I look at it. And that's with every aspect of life. And that's one of the things about sports is like life. You know, it's about life. It's about, you know, depending upon the guy next to you, it's about just, you know, being able to put the work in, you know, seeing, you know, the fruits of your labor. It's about all of that. And that's what life is about. You know, that's why it's so hard. It's so easy to relate to business people. It's so easy to relate to kids because kids see that. But they have to also know what you went through to get to where you are.
Right. That it's not
it's not easy.
No easy ticket on any level.
It is not.
Yeah. So tell me now, what are your routines that you do now to keep yourself healthy?
Me, actually, I meal prep on Sundays. You know, most of the time what I do is I'll cook, you know, my proteins and stuff. And then I usually always have vegetables in. Remember, I learned this from you years ago when I did the cooking class. Remember, I did the cooking class, and I remember always have vegetables in the house because that's the one. As long as you cook the protein, the vegetables are the one thing that you can always have fresh in your refrigerator. So for me, that's been my thing now for sure for the last lot of years. So, and then before that, you know, I had meal services, which was great, you know, because then I knew I was going to eat because I was at the gym all day doing stuff. So, but for me, if you cook your proteins on Sunday and, you know, then you do it again on Wednesday, you know, you're golden. The rest is simple. The rest is so simple, and it's not that hard. It's really not. You get the grill going, you put your meat on there. You know, if you're a vegetarian, you do your tofu, you do whatever you have to do. It's not that hard if you do it.
Right.
And once you get into the routine, it's easy. And it's not eating bland. You know, everyone thinks you just got to eat bland chicken, all blandness. Yeah. No, you don't have to. There's a whole lot of marinade stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that you can put on stuff and still be healthy.
Yes.
So, you know, you're not trying, the way I look at it, you're not trying to be a bodybuilder. You're not trying to be, you know, I'm big on not aesthetic. I can teach you how to be aesthetically fit all day long. Aesthetically fit is totally different than being healthy.
Right.
Two totally different things.
Oh yeah, so you said that. I say that all the time. Just because of how you look on the outside does not reflect what goes on.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And to me, that's the biggest thing. And you know, I get my, you know, as you get older, you don't eat enough protein. And I'm very blessed that I have a lot of muscle on me, and as I get older, I'm still able to keep that because I lift enough to keep my muscle. Right. Most people, as they get older, because I've built so much muscle, as they get older, they lose all their muscle. Because as you get older, you just don't eat enough protein. Right. You do not eat enough protein. And that's the reason why I think personally that most people aren't happy with their body, because they're like, oh my God, I don't have the muscle anymore. Okay, but are you eating to have the muscle? Right. Right. So I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, and I don't disagree, you know, although I do think there's a lot of people that over consume protein, especially not the healthy kinds of protein, right? But it does go back to, and I think, again, you know, as it being, doing this work too, I, you know, love being in the gym and lifting and telling, especially women, right? And even the young girls, like, you got to get in and push the weight. We are not going to be, you know, huge. Right. But if you don't, right, even for the men, there's a lot of men who don't do any resistance training. And then as they get older, you know, we wonder why we're starting to hunch over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? You don't have good abs, you don't have good back muscles, you start to hunch, and all of that affects our health. And so, yeah, along with the protein, yeah, they have to be doing that kind of work. It's not just, you know, get on a Peloton and ride and just run, you know.
Of course.
the cardio.
Well,
But
if you think about lifting, lifting is one of those things where, think about posture. For me, when I tell all my clients, if you're lifting, you're trying to build good posture. So when you lift, everything you do needs to be in a good posture position. Even when people are trying to hold a good posture position, they can't do it because they're not strong enough. And that's how I prove to them, even pulling your shoulders back. They're like, oh my God, I can't do this. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Because you know why? In life, we push. We push everything in life. Everything we do every day is all pushing. We never pull anything. That's why we hunch over. And I'm like, that's the difference. Knee replacement comes because you're not using your quads. Hello, when you don't use your quads, you lose your muscle. Your joints take the pressure of your weight.
right.
It's that simple. You build a muscle, your posture, everything works well together.
Yep, exactly. I love it. This has been so informative. This has been so much fun. Anything else you want to share?
No. I mean, I'm, me, Brandy. I love doing this. This is because it's my life. It's what I live and what I breathe. And if I can help anybody, to me, that's what it's all about. And coming from someone that has done it and has been there, I think you're more informative, and people should listen to someone that has done it before. Because there's so many gurus out there now. You look on social media and everyone's an online coach and everyone's this and everyone's that. And it's very hard to take it serious sometimes, because it's like you said, it's aesthetically, everybody thinks they know everything about dietitian and, oh, I can write you a diet plan. Well, what's your credentials? Oh, I was a fitness pro. Okay. So, it's very hard. Now, not taking anything from them, they know what they're doing from their own experiences, which is great. Not taking anything away from that, but at the same time, everybody's body is going to be different. So, it's like being an athlete. I can train a football player. I can train any position on the football field, but I'm not going to train you in your position. I'm going to train you to be an athlete.
Right.
Same concept.
Yeah, no, and it's true. Look, we do what we do as experts in our field for a reason, and I think, yes, if there's one message, is that people do need to be very careful and discerning about who they're getting their information from. And, I have people coming in all the time saying, I have this and I have that. And I said, who'd you ask? Dr. Google?
Exactly, Dr. Google.
Right. And my friend's brother, it always happens with, when people are on supplements. I'm like, well, why are you on that? Well, my friend's brother's sister said it. I'm like, and they know you why? How? So it's
that's why I said, always listen before you start talking. That's all. If everyone does that and they actually do their real research, everything you see on Google is not always true.
You think?
Well, if it's on Google, it's got to be true. So, and that's, it's just the way it works, and I love it. But, the more that people can have a platform like this to talk to people that have the experiences, I think is the best way that we can, get it out there.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things we can do.
Awesome. So if people want to get in touch with you and kind of pick your brain, where do they do it? How should they reach you?
Well, actually, at the gym, it's www.usiweston.com. On social media, usually on, I don't even know, what is it? On Instagram, I'm Terry Kirby 42. And on Facebook, I'm the exact same thing, Terry Kirby 42.
Great.
And any questions, I'm here to talk. I love talking. If you haven't noticed, I like talking, especially about stuff that I love. This is my life. This is who I am. And it's crazy because I was watching something yesterday and I had to write this down. This is a quote that I found yesterday. And it goes, who we are doesn't have to define who we're going to be. We can choose.
I love it. Love it. So true.
So true. It's so true.
Right. So
true.
A good choice. Well, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And Stay well.
Stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Awesome.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The Rebel Nutritionist. If you want more support and tips to help you go further with your own personal health journey, then become a Brandwine Rebel Insider. When you join my list, you'll get access to freebies such as meal planners, workshops, recipes, and so much more. Head over to brandwine.com/rebel and sign up there. I'll see you next week for another great episode. Bye for now.